driving global change, fostering collaboration, and shaping a sustainable future. International Public Procurement Conference 2026, Procurement for Prosperity. Thailand is entering a new chapter of growth, supported by strong foundations, its strategic location, industrial capability, and skilled workforce. The next phase of growth will be driven by industries of the future, from modern agriculture and food, advanced green manufacturing, the creative economy, sustainable tourism and tourism, to digital services. Unlocking this potential will require a powerful mechanism. In 2025, Thailand's public procurement value reached 1.85 trillion baht, accounting for 9.81% of the country's GDP. This is more than just a number. It is a powerful force for economic growth, creating jobs, generating income, and shaping the country's development path. Public procurement is not merely a mechanism for budget spending. It is a strategic instrument for creating jobs, driving innovation, and strengthening national capabilities. As digital technology, data, and AI transform procurement into a more transparent, efficient, and data-driven system, governments can design it to deliver tangible benefits for the economy, society, and domestic industries. That is why procurement policy leaders from more than 20 countries across East Asia and the Pacific will come together to share perspectives, exchange experiences, and explore best practices at the International Public Procurement Conference 2026, held under the theme Procurement for Prosperity, Driving Jobs, Innovation, and Impact in East Asia and Pacific. Procurement is not merely about spending, it is about designing the future.
Sawadee Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Public Procurement Conference 2026, Procurement for Prosperity, Driving Jobs, Innovation, and Impact in East Asia Pacific. My name is Lalita Petsuwan, will be your host for today. This event takes place over 3 days, from 27 to 29 April 2026. And today marks the first day of the program. It's bringing together policymakers, development organizations, and procurement leaders from across the region to exchange ideas on how public procurement can drive economic growth, create jobs, and foster innovation. Over the 3 days, participants will hear information, perspective, exchange experiences, and discuss approaches that support inclusive growth, including job creation, support for SME, and the use of technology in public procurement. For the first day, which is today, of the conference, the focus will be on setting the overall direction, along with discussion on the role of collaboration among governments, the private sector, and international organizations to drive sustainable growth. We are about to start very, very soon, but let's do a little bit ice breaking. Is anyone visiting Bangkok for the first time? Please raise your hand. Oh, no one. Okay, so everyone have visited here before. Okay, welcome again to Bangkok. It's my pleasure to be your host and welcome to our event today. And now we move into the official opening of the conference. It's my pleasure to invite a welcome address on behalf of the World Bank, one of our co-hosts and a key partner in advancing economic development and regional cooperation across East Asia and the Pacific. She is a senior leader at the World Bank, currently overseeing economic policy, finance, and development work across the East Asia and Pacific region. She also brings extensive experience working across multiple regions, including Europe, South Asia, and Africa, and has played a key role in shaping policy direction and supporting sustainable growth in developing countries. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ms. Lalita Moorty, Regional Director for East Asia and the Pacific in the Equitable Growth, Finance and Institution Practice Group of the World Bank to deliver her welcome remark. Please welcome.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency Dr. Ekniti Niti Phanprapas, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance of Thailand, Madam Director General Mrs. Patricia Mongkovanit of the Controller General's Department of Thailand, distinguished heads of procurement, and other senior officials from across East Asia and the Pacific. It's a great honor to join you today here in Bangkok for the 2026 International Public Procurement Conference. On behalf of the World Bank, let me begin by thanking the government of Thailand for its leadership in convening this event. Thailand's commitment to procurement modernization, digital transformation, and regional cooperation signals that public procurement is being positioned as a driver of growth and competitiveness, not simply an administrative function. The leadership will further be demonstrated when Thailand hosts the World Bank Group IMF annual meetings in October 2026. The World Bank Group's Building Thailand's Future Today report and the National Dialogue platform is helping showcase Thailand's vision for the future, placing it at the center of global dialogue for growth, stability, and shared prosperity. The IPPC has evolved into far more than a technical conference. It has become a regional platform where governments, development partners, and private sector confront a central question. Can public procurement be a deliberate instrument for prosperity, one that creates jobs, mobilizes private investment, and strengthens growth? At the World Bank Group, our answer is clear: yes, and it must be. When we speak of prosperity, we mean productive jobs, especially for the young people, competitive firms, resilient economies, and public institutions that convert spending into real improvements in people's lives. Across East Asia and the Pacific, governments spend hundreds of billions of dollars annually through public procurement. This spending shapes markets, determines which firms grow, influences where jobs are created, and affects how quickly critical infrastructure and services are delivered. Procurement sits at the intersection of three pillars of prosperity: strong public institutions, dynamic private markets, and inclusive economic growth. When procurement systems are predictable, transparent, and efficient, they lower the cost of doing business, crowd in private investment, create space for innovation. But when they are not, they discourage participation, they raise costs, and delay development outcomes. That is why we speak of procurement for prosperity, not procurement for compliance alone, but procurement really as a strategic policy tool. For procurement systems to generate real economic value, firms must want to participate. That means investing in early market engagement, outcome-focused specifications, fair and competitive processes, and timely payments. When firms see transparency and predictability, They bring capital and innovation. We are supporting countries across the region to make procurement not just legally open, but also commercially attractive, especially in sectors that create more jobs. Technology is a very powerful accelerator of this transformation. Digital procurement platforms, analytics, and dashboards are changing how governments plan, execute, and oversee public spending, compressing timelines, improving transparency, and generating data for better decision-making. Thailand is leading the way, using procurement dashboards as senior management tools to identify bottlenecks and track portfolio performance. Similar innovations are unfolding across the region. Why does it matter now? Well, millions of East Asian young people and from East Asia and the Pacific, they are entering the labor markets with very high aspirations. At the same time, global shocks are testing economic resilience. How governments spend public resources can determine whether growth translates into jobs and shared prosperity. Over the coming days, you will explore how procurement can drive jobs and growth, and how innovation can expand what is possible, and how impact and risk can be better managed in an uncertain world. I encourage you to engage openly, sharing not only the successes, but more importantly, the challenges. Progress often comes fastest when we learn as much from what has not worked than from what has. The World Bank Group stands firmly alongside countries in East Asia and the Pacific, along with our development partners, as you modernize your procurement systems. If the job is done well, procurement becomes more than a process. It becomes a platform for prosperity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lalita Moorty, Regional Director for East Asia and Pacific in Equitable Growth, Finance and Institution Practice Group of the World Bank, for your welcome remarks and perspective. Next, I would like to invite a welcome address on behalf of the Asian Development Bank, another key partner in advancing economic development, infrastructure, and regional cooperation. He is a senior leader at the ASEAN Development Bank with over 20 years of experience across Southeast Asia, the Pacific, and beyond. He leads multidisciplinary teams in designing and delivering intricate infrastructure and financial solutions to support sustainable and resilient growth. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Aaron Batten, Country Director for Thailand from Asian Development Bank, to deliver his welcome remarks. Please welcome Mr. Aaron.
Sawadee Cup, and a very good morning to everyone. Your Excellency, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Director General of the Comptroller's Department, colleagues from our development partners, distinguished heads of procurement agencies, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bangkok, and it's a great pleasure on behalf of ADB to welcome you to the International Public Procurement Conference 2026. By way of formality, on behalf of the Asian Development Bank, let me also thank our hosts in the Government of Thailand, the Comptroller General's Department, and our colleagues at the World Bank and the AIIB for bringing together such a strong and diverse group of procurement leaders for the conference that we're hosting over the next few days. While circumstances for procurement differ enormously across what is a very diverse region, in my view, countries are increasingly asking themselves very similar questions when it comes to the procurement challenge. How can limited public resources deliver greater economic and social impact? How can procurement systems keep pace with technology change, market complexity, and also the rising expectations of our citizens? And how can governments use procurement policy to drive prosperity, innovation, and sustainability, while also preserving the key tenets of competition and accountability? Something that's not often spoken about is that public procurement often accounts for 15 to 20% of GDP across Asia-Pacific economies. It is one of the most important policy instruments at the hands of government. It simultaneously touches markets, firms, service delivery, and also, importantly, directly on how citizens perceive the effectiveness of their government's institutions. For many decades, procurement reform understandably focused on process integrity. This including setting clear rules, fair competition, transparency and control to build trust in procurement systems. These foundations remain essential. They underpin public trust. But today, procurement systems are also being asked to deliver more. Increasingly, governments are using public procurement to support the growth of SMEs and local value creation. They're being asked to accelerate innovation and new technology adoption. They're being asked to achieve environmental and social objectives and to deliver value for money across the full project lifecycle, not just at contract award. In other words, I think we can fairly say that procurement is evolving from a purely transactional task into one of the most strategic instruments of public policy. This conference is about how that transition can be managed practically without losing the core principles of trust and competition that I mentioned before. From ADB, we're very grateful for the opportunity to work hand in hand with all of our regional members on this very important agenda. Through landmark reforms such as the introduction of mandatory merit point criteria, we are working across all of our investments to move beyond lowest cost bidding to evaluate more carefully quality, technical capability, innovation, and environmental and social performance. As will be shared over the coming days, there are many exciting initiatives underway to continue advancing this agenda, which is still in its early days. We hope to work to evolve procurement standards, expand the adoption of digital platforms, and develop new tools that embed national priorities into the fabric of public spending. So with these very few brief remarks, let me conclude by wishing everyone a very productive and engaging IPPC 2026, and I very much look forward to the insights that will emerge over the coming days. Khab khun krab.
ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you very much, Mr. Aaron Batten, Country Director from Asian Development Bank, for your welcome remarks. We have already heard two speakers that share the perspective with us, which were valuable in helping us to understand the overall pictures and objective of today's event. And now we are moving to the very important moment of today's event, the official opening ceremony. Our next speaker, he is a senior leader of the Royal Thai government. He playing a very, very important role in shaping Thailand's economic and fiscal policy. He has been instrumental in driving fiscal reform, digital transformation, and sustainable development initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming His Excellency Dr. เอกนิติธันประภาส Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance of Thailand. คุณเอกนิติ please welcome. Please join me to give him a round of applause.
Ms. Lalita Moorty, Regional Director, World Bank, Mr. Aaron Batten, Country Director, Asian Development Bank, Mr. Kofi Awanyo, Manager of AIIB, Madam Patricia Mongkon-Wanit, Director General of the Comptroller General Department, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning and warm welcome to Thailand. We are meeting at a time when the global economy is becoming more uncertain, more fragmented, and more complex. In such an environment, policymakers around the world are rethinking the role of the state and increasingly public procurement is moving to the center of that discussion. What was seen as an administrative function is now being recognized as a strategic policy tool, as mentioned by Lalita and Aaron, one that can stabilize economies, shape markets, and drive long-term transformations through public procurement. To put it simply, public procurement is no longer just about buying goods, it's about shaping the future of our economy. The importance of procurement is rooted in its scale. Globally, public procurement accounts for approximately 10 to 12% of GDP, and in some advanced economies, it may reach up to 20%. This means that government spending decisions have a direct and significant impact on markets' behavior and the economic structure as a whole. At the same time, improving procurement efficiencies can generate saving up to 10% of total project value. This extra savings means that we can redirect these extra resources toward supporting resilient and inclusive growth with people at the center. In this context, the question is no longer simply how much government spent, but how effectively they spent. Because scale may give government powers, but impact depends on how wisely that power is used. To respond to today's challenges, Thailand is aligning its policy directions around what we call the 4T approach: target, transition, transformations, and together. At its core, this approach is about targeting public resources more effectively so that spending is directed toward areas where it can be truly be of impact, such as small businesses, local communities, and vulnerable groups. At the same time, policy must actively support an ongoing economic transitions as sustainability becomes the new economic standards, especially in times of oil price crisis like this. Transition towards renewable resources is a necessity not only for sufficiencies. Beyond transition, there's also a need for deeper transformations. This includes improving productivity through upskilling and reskilling of our human capital, upgrading industries, building new growth engines to sustain long-term competitiveness. And importantly, achieving this objective requires collaborations together, bringing together the public sectors, private sectors, and societies. In sum, these principles ensure that public spending is both efficient, forward-looking, and inclusive. Public procurement play a central role in translating this vision into reality. In the context of today's limited fiscal space, it enables governments to direct spending in a precise way. This helps lay the groundwork for supporting economic transitions and driving structural transformations while fostering collaborations across sectors. So, if policies set the right directions, procurement is what turns that directions into reality. To put this into actions, we are advancing procurement along three connected routes. First, digital procurement is being strengthened through enhanced EGP, e-government platforms, and greater use of data. This allows for better decision making, improved transparencies, and more efficient use of public resources. Second, green procurement is being expanded to put sustainability at the heart. This ensures that procurement decisions reflect not only short-term cost, but also long-term environmental and fiscal impacts. Third, innovation procurement is being promoted by focusing more on an outcome-based approach rather than just the lowest price. This creates space for new technologies, new startups, and new innovations to solutions to flourish. Together, these pillars help ensure procurement system remain relevant and align with future economic trends. In short, modern procurement is not just digital, green, and innovations on its own. Rather, it's all three working together. At the heart of Thailand's approach is a strong emphasis on inclusivity. Small and medium-sized enterprises are the backbone of the economies, like many other countries, and the largest resource of employment. In 2025, SME participation in public procurement increased by almost 10%, reflecting improved access and engagement. However, more can be done. We are working on simplifying procedures and removing unnecessary red tape so that we can leverage procurement as a powerful tool to drive income distribution and promote economic inclusion. For example, by using digital transformations via electronic government procurement or EGP platform, we can not only make the process more lean, but also provide access to finance for SME by connecting this platform to the banking supply chains financing platform called Prombis. Additionally, our Made in Thailand policy for public procurement and aim to drive innovations and digital transformations with local content. Through this program, the benefit truly reach local industries and people, giving them more incentive to innovate. At the end of the day, when procurement works for SMEs, it works for the whole economy. Moreover, when procurement is aligned with policy objectives, it delivers outcomes that extend far beyond cost efficiencies. It creates jobs by supporting local businesses and economic participation for all. It drives innovations by opening doors of opportunities for new technologies and new ideas. And it generates lasting impact, economic, social, environmental, ensuring that public spending contributes to long-term development goals. This is why value-based procurement is so important, because its value not only measured by the number of baht we save, but rather by the broader benefits delivered to society. So, the true value of procurement is not just about cost saving, but value creation. Looking ahead, we need to strengthen cooperations in public procurement across countries. This means making procurement work better in practice, whether through aligning our standards or increasing transparency through shared frameworks. That's why this conference is so important. The institutions represented here today can play important roles in facilitating these collaborations, serving as platform for knowledge exchange and coordinations. Because in an increasing interconnected world, we believe that no country can optimize procurement alone. The future is built through cooperations. Ladies and gentlemen, public procurement may not always be the most visible policy tool, but is one of the most powerful. When used effectively, it can help build economies that are more competitive, more inclusive, and more sustainable. And Thailand stands ready to work with our partners to move this agenda forward together. I hope that over coming days, this conference will serve not only as a platform for discussions, but as way we can advance public procurement to be a key driver of sustainable development across Asia Pacific region. Because in the end, procurement is not just about how government spend it. It's about how nation grows, how our people stand to benefit. Finally, I encourage you to take these opportunities to experience the unique beauty of Bangkok and the vibrant charms of the Chao Phraya rivers. I wish you all a pleasant and memorable stays. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Dr. เอกนิติ นิติธันประภาส Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance of Thailand เดี๋ยวคุณเอกนิติอยู่บนเวทีก่อนนะคะ We are moving to the next photo session. May I invite the following distinguished guests to the stage. Starting from Mrs. Patricia Mongkol Varnit, Director General from Controller General's Department of Thailand. Ms. Lalita Moorty, Regional Director from World Bank. Mr. Aaron Batten, Country Director from Asian Development Bank. And this is the first photo group session with 4 distinguished speakers. Today we have several sessions and discussions but many more to come. Video, please.